and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe, and today we are going to be doing kind of a mini tutorial about Out of the Park Baseball 26, as I am managing or running I run two online leagues. They're both kind of in a pre-play phase right now because I'm playing up to a specific date before we go live. In the case of what you're looking at right here, this is Figment League Baseball. Our major league organization is called the Federally Aligned Baseball Leagues, or as I call it, FABLE, F-A-B-L, because it's fake and fable. So, you know where I'm going here. I don't have to beat you over the head with it. Anyway, I am adjusting the minor leagues. So I'm going to kind of walk you through a way to fix up your minors so that they... I'm going to walk you through how you move teams around, make a league basically inactive, although not really, kind of trick the game into thinking it's inactive, and generally just kind of how you move teams around and handle their staff and players and so on and so forth. So I'm going to get right into it because I don't want to make this too long. I know how short everybody's attention span is these days. So let's just jump right in. So I'm going to go, here are my AAA leagues. We'll just work with those for now. We're going to make the Century League inactive. Century League is essentially my league's analog to the Old American Association, which from the end of the 62 season until the start of the 69 season went dormant and was not active. Its teams were basically moved and absorbed into the PCL, which for me is essentially the Great Western League. They're not perfect analogs. They're just generally close. In Figment League, I try to keep a relatively realistic historical framework in terms of name, number of teams, and so on. The teams are all fake. The players are all fake. The owners, the staff, everything's fake. League names are fake, etc. So in this case, some of the Century League teams will go to the Great Western League. 4 of them will. The other 2 will go to the Union League, which is essentially similar to our Real World International League. And then when we get to 1969 and we expand to 24 teams, we have 20 currently. As I said, we try to follow the structure of Major League Baseball. So we expanded in the early 60s from 16 teams into 18 leagues. The Federal Association and the Continental Association are roughly equivalent to the National League and the American League in real life. Anyway, digression there because I wanted to just kind of set the stage here, but we're going to go to the Century League and I'm going to click on League Settings, and there are multiple ways you can do this. Let me enter my commissioner password. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to work with the structure of the league. So here you have edit league structure. You also have leagues and teams. So there are 2 places where you manage your teams. Now here in this one, all you're really going to be doing is handling the affiliations and then general things about the league itself. So you could set its reputation, what its parent league is, etc. So you can see the affiliates of the 6 teams that are currently in the Century League. And if we were to switch this, and we can change leagues up here, if we switch to the Great Western League, you can see they have 8 teams. 2 of them are unaffiliated, right? Because we have 20 teams, but we currently have 22 AAA teams. These 2 quote-unquote extra teams are unaffiliated. And then if we go to the Union League, 8 teams, all affiliated, right? So all 20 teams have an affiliate. Now that's not the case at AA and single A at the moment, but we will be fixing that perhaps in a part 2, depending on how this video does and if there's enough interest for me to go ahead and do it. I'm doing it anyway, but whether I do it on my channel so that you guys can take advantage of what I'm doing for your own purposes, for learning how to manage your league, that depends on how many of you actually watch this and find it worthwhile. So to pick back up, we're going to go to our Century League again. Right, so we have our 6 teams. As I said, this is one of the 2 places. The other one's in the functions, which is where we were originally. And we have our edit league structure right here. So this is where you can really do some damage. You can remove teams And if you remove them, they're gone for good. So keep that in mind. It will ask you, if you click it, it will ask you, do you really want to do this? And then you can always back out. But if you delete them, they're gone. You can't bring them back. Hopefully you have a backup if you did want them back. That's kind of the word of caution there. Word to the wise. Okay, so we can move teams to a different league by clicking this. You can change them to any league you want that's in your universe here. I could send them to Japan. I don't want to do that, but I could. And then, of course, you can move them to, other leagues, like Dixie League is a AA league. Century League is where we are, so you can move them nowhere, essentially. But in this case, we were going to send Columbus and Indianapolis are going to be our two teams that we're going to send to the Union League. So let's do that. We'll move Columbus, and it's gone from this list. And then we'll take Indianapolis and do the same thing, move it to the Union League. Then we're going to move these four to the Great Western League. And now all of these, the league is now completely empty, right? So if we come out and go back to our league settings, you could also do it here and just go to functions, which is where I am. And if we go to options, this is where your schedule is set up. I'm just going to set this to 0. I don't know that this is necessarily necessary or required, but if you do this, 0 equals skip regular season. We also have playoffs disabled. There are no teams, so we should get nothing. The game, OOTP, should treat this league as it's like a placeholder, basically. Now, let's move on to looking at the other leagues here. So we go back to the Great Western. Now you can see we've got a bunch of teams now. We have 12 because we added 4 from the Century League, and we already had 8. And 2 of these are going to go away, basically. So we're going to contract 2 teams, and the other 10 we're going to split into 2 5-team divisions. And we'll do the same thing over on the other side with the Union League and make 2 5-team divisions over there as well. The other thing I could do is as I mentioned, we have these 2 independent teams here. So let me just show you. If we go to the Great Western League and we go to the Portland Green Sox. Okay, so this is an independent league. None of these players here are property of anybody in Fable, right? So you can see Guy White here, he hits 3rd, so he's probably fairly decent. This is a no ratings league, stats only. So you can see he's decent, and he may have played. Nope, he's a career guy in the GWL. He's never been. Yeah, he has never played in a Fable organization, and he's got pretty good career statistics. 333 career home runs. Again, at the AAA level, playing against teams that are affiliated with the with Fable, so they do have quality players, AAA quality players. So this guy is actually decent. And look at this, the walks. His on-base percentage for his career is almost 400. He's 34 years old, or 35 at this point, because he turned 35 in June of 64. We are still, we are actually in 65. So in a couple months, he will turn 36. But what I was going to say is, none of I know my GMs pretty well. None of them probably would even want to pick up a 36-year-old corner outfielder. So despite the fact that he's one of the better home run guys anyway, and I fell down a rabbit hole, which can happen pretty easily in OOTP because you have a ton of information at your fingertips. I wanted to go to info and then history and show you that this team is an original Great Western League team. The Great Western League started in 1904. And this team has been here the whole time. So I kind of feel bad, and you can see how many times it's won a championship, 12 of them. That's fairly successful in 61 seasons that have been played. And then our other empty team currently is the, which one is it? Conquistadors. Also an original team. They've won 8 titles. They do have a record that is over 500, 44-11 and 42-09. So they've been one of the slightly above average teams. I forgot to look at Portland. Portland's career record is also over 500 at 510. Not too shabby. So look at this though, 35 and 107. That's awful. Anyway, there was a brief period where the Great Western League declared itself a major league. It's a fictional universe. I can do what I want. That lasted 3 seasons, I believe, 3 or 4 seasons, and then they went back and rejoined the Fable umbrella. So, but Portland has remained independent for much of that time. Anyway, my point that I was going to make is I have the option, if I wish to do it, to keep this team around and basically save it. And I'm probably going to do that, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do instead. So let's go back to and we can use this to do it. Just go back to functions. And if we go in here, Century League, I want to switch this to Great Western. We have our 10 teams here. Now, if I wanted to assign somebody to Portland, right? Let's just assume, because I do want to contract 2 teams, that would get us down to 20 teams and everybody would have an affiliate. The temptation to keep 22 is because I know in 1969 I'm adding 4 more teams, and all 4 of those teams will of course need a AAA affiliate. So if I were to keep these 2 teams active, just leave them independent and have them be placeholders, knowing that in 1969 they will become an affiliated team of one of our new squads, I could elect to do that. For demonstration purposes and because I feel like it'll just be a neater solution, I'm actually going to contract 2 teams because I want to show you how this works. Okay, so again, here are the teams we have. Now let's talk about how we want to do this. So first of all, let me go to Portland again. I'm going to go to rosters and I'm going to release all their players. And this is important because if you change the affiliation on a team that has players on it, those players move with the team. If you release the players, and I recommend only doing this with independent teams for obvious reasons, then you don't have to worry about it. And we go to San Diego and do the same thing. They actually have some guys down here as well. And we can also release and release and release. Okay, they are completely empty now. And we can go back to here. And why is it bouncing us back there again? Let's go to the Great Western. Okay, so now these teams are empty. But let's say, for the sake of argument, I want to keep both Portland and San Diego around because they are original teams in the Great Western League, which, as I said, I do. We would have to move somebody else. We'd have to get rid of somebody else. Now, Oakland is a good candidate. Why? Well, Oakland is also an original club, but Oakland is right next to San Francisco, as we all probably know, right across the bay from each other, and San Francisco currently has a Fable team, the San Francisco Sailors. So they may not be keen on having the St. Louis Pioneers AAA affiliate right across the bay in the same market as themselves, of course. So we're going to move St. Louis's affiliation from Oakland to San Diego. We'll send them down the coast. Okay, so you might say, well, just change this to none and change this to St. Louis. That would be incorrect at this particular time because we need to move the players. So we're going to say St. Louis. So now St. Louis temporarily has 2 teams in the Great Western League. So now if we go back out here, go to the Pioneers, go to their organization, we'll have to adjust this a little bit. So let's say we want the Oakland Grays, which is their current team, and the now empty San Diego Conquistadors. Then we're just going to simply highlight everybody and move them. And Sam Ruggles did not want to move for some reason, but that's okay. He's not on Oakland. Oakland's empty. And that's the key thing. Okay. So now we go back Oh, before we go back, let's move their staff as well. So you go front office, personnel. Here are all your staff. So these guys down here are the staff of the formerly independent team. So they do not work for the St. Louis Pioneers. These guys, however, do. So if we just go in here and reassign them by appointing him, Harry Clark, as the AAA manager, he'll swap spots. Do the same with Pete McKinney, who is our pitching coach. Move him to San Diego and move our hitting coach, Willie Mills, to AAA San Diego. So they all swap positions. So he's going to keep his good, okay staff here for San Diego. And these guys who are not as good will go to Oakland, and they're going to be out of work soon because I'm going to remove that team. So now let's return, as I mentioned before, and we go right back to the Century League. Okay, now we can set this to none, and they are no longer affiliated there. So now the other one we would want to move, we have to figure this out. Now, something else to think about, okay, is, as I mentioned, there is a 1969 expansion coming up. There's also the expansion that took place a few years ago, one of which put a team in San Francisco, but one of the other teams went to Minneapolis, which, much like the Oakland situation, now means there's a AAA team from a different organization right across the Mississippi River from the Minneapolis Millers, who are a Fable team. So they would probably prefer to see the St. Paul Disciples go somewhere else. Now, I am moving the teams because I'm not going to have teams in California playing in the same league with teams in, say, Indiana and Ohio. It makes very, very little geographical sense. Yes, we are in the jet age now, and yes, in theory, it's possible, but AAA is not the majors, and who can afford to fly their teams all over the place in the middle of the 1960s? That's the thinking. So St. Paul needs to go. Now, whether they go and end up somewhere else or they just go entirely is a decision I'm about to make. Because the other situation is Milwaukee. Milwaukee does not have a Fable team right next door or in town, but is going to have one in 1969. And the same is actually true for Seattle. But Seattle I'm not going to do anything with because that's a move. They're going to be there's a team in Kansas City that's going to move to Seattle in 69. That has not happened yet. So we're actually that might happen in 68. I forget what I laid it out as, but you can think of it as being analogous to the Oakland Athletics when they moved from Kansas City to Oakland. Similar situation. So the Kansas City Kings will be moving to Seattle in the next few years, but and you can see that this is actually the location of their AAA team. So I'm not going to do anything with Seattle, although it's tempting to do something with Seattle. And maybe that's how I should do it. I should just move the Seattle Thunderbirds out so that they can start. It's not official yet that they're moving, but I can do what I want because I'm the commissioner here. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply say Seattle is going to move their team to Portland. Okay? That will open up the ability for me to fold Seattle and Oakland for the reasons I've already outlaid. And then we're going to move Milwaukee and St. Paul, Fort Wayne, and Toledo. They're all moving west. They're all going to move west to be closer to the AAA footprint here. So probably be something along the lines of Oklahoma City and maybe Houston because Dallas has a big league team. Unlike real life where MLB went into Houston in the early 60s and didn't go to Dallas until the early 70s when Washington relocated there. We went into Dallas and Houston is still a AA team, a AA city. So we're going to actually promote Houston to AAA and put one of those 4 Century League teams in Houston and then make a new Lone Star Association, our Texas League analog. We'll add a team there or move Houston, probably more like move Houston somewhere into a new location So that would be like part 2 of this, which again, I won't do unless it seems like this was popular enough. All right, enough babbling. Let's get down to business. We're going to do this the same exact way. I'm going to say, okay, Portland gets to be the affiliate of the KC Kings, and then we're going to go back in here and go to the Kings and do the same thing we did with the Pioneers. So we got our Thunderbirds here. Here's the Green Sox. We're going to just highlight all these guys and say, welcome to Portland. Once again, somebody didn't like it, but I don't see him anywhere. Now you can, they've got the full boat of affiliates. They've got AA, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, he could be on the injured list, although there is no injured list in the off season. It's not on waivers. There's nobody on the IL. So I don't know what the deal is with that guy, but I'm not going to worry about it. So we've done this now. Now let's do the front office and go to the personnel and do exactly what we did. We're going to take Portland's guys and we're going to send them to Seattle, which will send the Seattle guys to Portland. You can do it either way. In the first instance, we did it the other way because they list them in alphabetical order, basically. In this one, we'll just do the same thing, but it's going to work out the same. So we're going to move this guy to Seattle. We'll move this guy to Seattle, and we'll move this guy to Seattle. Okay, so now there's, I mean, okay, average and poor, I guess, is better than okay, poor, and fair. Generally speaking, average being better than fair. So not a great staff in either place, but he gets to keep Pinky Baker, Ed Patty, and Dick Curtis. And these guys can shuffle off to, I don't know, the unemployment line, I guess. We'll come back here and go in here. And again, we're at this. Whoops, not what I wanted. There we go. Now we can say, Seattle, you are no longer an affiliate of the Kings. And we can go to our functions and our league structure. And now we're going to remove these teams. So I'm going to remove Seattle. Okay, because they'll be back in a few years with a fresh major league team that's actually pretty good. And the other one we were removing was Oakland. Okay, so those two are now gone. And we've got our 10 teams left. Now we want to set up our division. So let's say add division. And we'll have a East and a West. Right? So East. So let's move. All the teams that came in from the Century League will be in the East. I haven't determined exactly where they'll be. OKC and Houston are 2, and those are both right now AA locations. So I'll have to fix that afterwards. So let's just move Hawaii, of course. They're going to move to the West. And so you just find it, and it doesn't say West yet, but it will as soon as I make this change. Now when I go to move Portland, you can see it says East and West now. That's just a little quirk of the system. We'll move Sacramento. Salt Lake City, I think, is going to stay in the East. And then San Diego will move. Well, let me think about this. We've got Denver's already staying, so Salt Lake City can move. They're going to move to the West. And San Diego's going to move to the West. And that's it. We're all set. So now Denver is an existing team that's going to stay. So let's just say that Fort Wayne is going to become Oklahoma City. And Fort Wayne is a Chicago affiliate, Chicago Chiefs. I'm just going to say OKC. And then Milwaukee is the Cougars affiliate. And let's see, where do we want to move the Cougars? Okay, so we're going to promote 3 AA teams. We already did one here, right? So we've got Oklahoma City here. And we're going to do Houston as well. And then we're going to take New Orleans. So let's send Milwaukee is the Cougars, I think. Okay, so we're going to promote 3 AA teams to AAA. So as I mentioned, let's give the Cougars Omaha. This will be a new, whoops, Why did that not work? This will be a new team. Omaha is actually in A ball at the moment. And we'll just call this the Omaha Plainsmen. Sounds like a good one. OMA, Omaha. All right. Then we've got Houston. They're the Bulls. And we'll just keep the name for the moment. I may change it. And then New Orleans. Whoops, not just New Orleans. New Orleans. New Orleans team is, oh boy, what is their team? I can't think of it right now. They are the New Orleans Showboats. N-O. Okay. So we are all set now with our team lineup. And if we go to that's Dixie. Let's go to the Great Western. And you can see the names have already changed, right? But the logos will be messed up and I'll have to go in and fix them up, which I can do, right? So they still have the Toledo one, Oklahoma City has Fort Wayne, Omaha has Milwaukee, etc., right? So we'll need to change that up, and I will, but that'll be in a that'll do offline. And I guess that's going to be it for this video. I don't want to go too long, as I mentioned earlier, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Shout out to my members, my channel members, Tom Marshall and Guardian. I only have 2, so if you'd like to join the crew, help support the channel, it starts at $1 a month, which isn't too bad, I guess. Click the join button. There's a little video there that tells you what your perks would be for the 2 levels. And if you're interested, great. The more the merrier. If not, I completely understand. It's not a big deal. No pressure. You'll get everything regardless, except for the perky stuff. But the perk stuff is not any video content. You just get early access at the 2nd tier. That's it. So I don't want it to sound like you get nothing, but I also don't want anyone to feel bad if they say, well, the heck with that, I'm not doing it. Like I said, either way is cool. Just putting it out there in case you're interested. All right, back on task. Thank you again for watching, as I just said. Please consider liking, sharing, potentially subscribing if you're not already a subscriber. And if you are, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. If you would like to see more of this, let me know. But for now, we're done. I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.